Unke Munke Timpetoo is a story revolving around a young boy, Rohan, whose birthday was approaching soon.
It's going to be a fantastic birthday this year. All I'm going to get is a pair of shoes and a hand knitted pullover. I had asked for a table tennis set, but my mother said it is totally out of the question this year.
Mook, Rohan's best friend, looked at Rohan thoughtfully. He drew a bit closer to Rohan and said,
Well, Rohan, I'm not saying I believe in it, but my cousin said it works. And there is no harm in trying, don't you think?
Trying what?
Well, my cousin said that if you want something a great deal, you can make your wish come true by running around a banyan tree at midnight and chanting unke munke timpetoo 17 times.
though Rohan desperately wanted his wish to come true, he still asked.
Why 17 times and why at midnight?
Don't ask me. That is how it is done. I suppose why not try it? It wouldn't do any harm.
Rohan thought it was all nonsense. Besides, he couldn't think of any banyan tree in his neighborhood except the one in Mrs. Groover's garden. But who would dare to enter her garden? And definitely not at midnight. Mrs. Groover had been the principal of his school till last year. One look of her pale green eyes was enough to silence bullies like Rinkulai of class 10, and Rohan had seen it happen with his own eyes. However, the thought kept haunting Rohan and he couldn't think of anything else. So, on the day before his birthday, he told Mook.
If you come along with me, I'll go to Mrs. Groover's garden tonight and do it.
Why should I go with you? I have no secret wish.
Come on, let us go and wish for my table tennis set.
So, at 10 minutes to 12, Mook and Rohan met at the back of Mrs. Groover's garden. They climbed up the boundary wall. The garden lay dark and silent in the dim light of the moon. And there was the banyan tree, its branches swaying in the gentle breeze of the night. They jumped down, ran to the tree, and looked around carefully.
What if she is awake?
Nobody is awake at this ghostly hour of the night. Now get going. Run!
Rohan ran chanting Unke
Unke
Munke
munke
Timpetoo.
timpedu.
He
Unke
wished
munke
his wish
timpedu.
coming true
Unke
over and
munke
over
timpedu.
again.
Unke
He
munke
felt a
timpedu.
bit scared, so he tried to get over quickly and increased his speed by running and chanting. Suddenly, a ferocious bark tore the still of the night. Rohan froze, and inside Mrs. Groover's house, lights turned on and the back door opened.
Who is there? Answer, or I will unleash this dog.
Mook, Mook, say something.
But Mook was already climbing up the tree. When Rohan saw Mrs. Groover bend down to unleash the dog,
Please don't send the dog. I will explain everything.
Speak out fast.
Rohan told her everything. He feared she might not believe him, but she listened to him without interrupting. She looked at him with the hard light green eyes of hers as if she was trying to see right into his heart.
So you believe in unke munke timpetu? Do you think it will help?
Rohan dropped his head softly and said,
I hope it will.
Well, if you believe in it, go and finish your rounds. And while leaving, use the front gate.
Rohan finished the remaining 6 rounds and left her garden using the front gate. He promised to himself that he would never return. The next day, the great moment came. He opened his gifts, rejoiced over his new pair of shoes and the hand knitted pullover. Then his eyes fell on a big parcel. He had never ever received such a big parcel. On it was written, to Rohan Khanna from Unke Munke Timpetoo. Muk and Rohan looked equally surprised. Rohan's mother said,
Who is Unke Munke Timpetoo? Isn't that an unusual name?
Yes, very unusual indeed.
Rohan bent over the parcel and began to remove the strings and paper impatiently. Finally, he removed the colorful wrapping paper to find a table tennis set. It was not a brand new, but it was a fabulous one.
Wow, just wow.
Till today, Muk maintains that he had nothing to do with it. So does Rohan's parents. Rohan wondered if Mrs. Grover was responsible for the surprise. Rohan have wondered for a very long time. One day, Rohan gathered all his courage and went to meet Mrs. Grover. He used the front gate and rang the bell. He had gone over his lines 100 times, but when she looked at Rohan with her pale green eyes, Rohan's courage vanished. All he could do was stutter like a fool.
Good afternoon, madam. Did you, have you, sorry, but do you believe in unke munke timpetoo?
Mrs. Grover continued to look at Rohan with a strange look in her eyes. She replied softly but seriously.
Yes, I do believe in unke munke timpetoo. I had wished to have somebody over for tea, and here you are. Now, isn't it a perfect example of unke munke timpetoo?
Mrs. Grover smiled and she looked so different, almost friendly. From that day onwards, Muk and Rohan went to see Mrs. Grover quite often. It was not because she made the best tea and had the best cookies, but because they actually liked her. Also, they had one thing in common. They all believed in unke munke timpetoo. This story shows us that people are not always what they seem to be. Rohan and Muk thought Mrs. Grover was very scary, but she turns out to be a kind woman who just wants some company. Let me introduce to you our wonderful puppeteers. Shantanu as Rohan, Jay as Muk, the best friend, Arav as Mrs. Grover, the principal. Thank you all for joining us and watching our puppet show. We hope you enjoyed the performance as much as we enjoyed putting it together for you.